Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream. I'm going to do your July the 27th spiritual principle a day in a meditation. I hope you're doing good this morning. I'm excited to be with you. The last podcast I just did, I was so tongue-tied, but I had to keep pushing through. I just did not, I couldn't get my words straight. So hopefully today will be, this particular meditation will be better. Now, July 27th, the title of it is Our Step One Surrender. Our step one surrender. This is what it says. Only in working the first step do we truly come to realize that we are addicts, that we have hit bottom, and that we must surrender. NA Step Working Guide, Step 1, Opening Essay. We don't all enter the rooms of NA certain that we are addicts like those people. Some of us are dubious. Now that we have a couple of weeks clean, we remember our using days a bit differently. Was it that bad? Do we really have a disease? Sure, we have a problem with drugs, but it's not like we were ever arrested for it. We have a roof over our head and teeth in our mouth. Never have we exchanged sex for drugs, and all our student loan payments have been on time. Was our bottom so terrible? Was it terrible enough to warrant a daily surrender? An old timer offers some unhelpful advice. Maybe you aren't done yet. That sounds ominous, and we definitely have some sort of problem. So we stay clean and get a sponsor. We pick up the NA Step Working Guides and, at our sponsor's direction, begin to answer the questions as honestly and thoroughly as possible. By the time we get to the section on surrender, we've already written about our disease at length. Our profound dishonesty and denial, our manipulation of the people who loved and trusted us, all the laws we broke, even if we didn't get caught, the powerlessness over our addiction, our obsessiveness, our compulsiveness, our obsessive compulsiveness, the unmanageability we've created in our lives, and the reservations we may be holding on to. Seeing it all there on the page, all that proof in black and white is undeniable. I am an addict. In an ideal world, that's the moment of surrender we never look back from. Sure, that happens for many of us. That's the beginning of our process of surrendering, opening the door to recovery. Others of us end up getting loaded, doing more research, hitting a lower bottom, and surrendering later. Still others never make it back. I've already done enough research. What is unmanageable in my life right now? What am I obsessing about? What can I do to surrender today? Let's take a moment of silence followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. Our step one surrender. Definitely, I don't think my step one surrender looked like everyone else's. It was a struggle, and it was more internal, right? To the outward appearance, it appeared that I had surrendered because I never picked back up. But the stuff that I went through, as I told you, those first several years rather, was a struggle to actually surrender on a deep level. Because I thought not picking up was going to be the solution. I didn't know that I myself had a thinking problem. Surrender looks different for different people. But the surrender that we seek is definitely the initial one of just not using drugs. The cravings, they'll be there, but eventually they pass. The withdrawal symptoms, they eventually pass too. The kicker is that if you ever go back to it, you pick up immediately where you left off, both physiologically and otherwise. They tell people all the time. If you relapse, do not go back to using the same amount that you thought, the same amount that you were using, as when you finished your last use. Don't go back to that. I think the window span is like 3 days. So they tell people all the time, don't go back to using the same amount. If it's been longer than a day or two, do not go back to the same amount because it could be potentially deadly for you. Right? And so that little reprieve right there is very special. Just a day clean is not just, actually, it's huge. A day clean is huge. Many of us get that opportunity to never pick up again just because we make a decision that no matter what, we're not going to pick up again. If I can stop for 24 hours, that's where I was at. If I can stop for 24 hours, if I can stop for one day, and they told me it's a day at a time, then I don't see why I can't plan on not using today. If I did that yesterday, I can definitely do it today. And I just play that mind game with myself. If you did it for one day, you can do it today. And I'll say that again today. If you did it for yesterday, you can do it today. And that was 3 days. Then there was 4 days. I just kept saying that to myself. And when the increments got larger and I felt more comfortable, I was like, you got 7 days. That's a week. If you can stay clean for a week, you can stay clean for another week, one day at a time. Sometimes I'll have to say, just make it to midnight. Just make it to a second past midnight. And you have knocked this day out of there, out of the park. And there's no sense in messing up your today, right? I would play those kind of games with myself to convince myself that you can do it. And sure enough, I did. And sure enough, I am. And I believe I always will. I believe that I will receive an infinity medallion one day. I really do. Because I have Narcotics Anonymous. I have you people. I have my sponsor. And I have tons. When I say you people, I mean, I have some really great friends. And it just makes it that much easier. We can always look at our past, right? When you begin to get clean, you start looking at, was it really that bad? Yeah, it was actually. Just talk to someone that was there with you. Yeah. And saw you come in, or a loved one, a family member that experienced you going from using every day to not using. They will tell you it was just that bad. Trust them, because your mind is going to play tricks with you and tell you, oh, no, it wasn't that bad. But here's the thing, like I say, if you go back, there's no guarantee that you can have another use anytime you want. You may not be able to have another recovery. And that's not trying to scare you, right? That's just the reality. And if you're anything like me, I have people that were close to me that were here and decided that they had another recovery, or so they thought. And they just decided, well, this is a bit much for me to go through clean. Let me get high. Or they were just in a bad circumstance, right? Hanging out with the wrong people and couldn't resist. or too depressed. I'm just woe is me. Pour me, pour me, pour myself a drink, right? And there you go. And they took something and they didn't get a chance to recover again. We had to attend their service, their funeral service. So don't always minimize, what we're saying down to, oh, that's fear mongering. Oh, they're just trying to scare me. No, actually, we're not. It's the reality. And we really shouldn't have to tell you about that because you probably have your own experience where you've lost someone that overdosed or got caught up in a lifestyle and the lifestyle took their life. So common for us. So I don't wish that for you. I want for you to have a surrender that can last the ages of the rest of your days. My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you. I hope that you would think about this meditation on a deep level. And I also want for you to have a beautiful day on purpose. I intend to talk to you soon.